All right.
Am I going first? Okay. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being on the call. In answer to your question, you ask a question and we have the answer. So you wanted to know who's an expert in Moxi presentations and can help with a luxury presentation in Moxi, and that would be Elizabeth. She's going to go very slowly today. We're all going to take notes. Okay. So Liz, do your thing.
Oh, on me already. Okay, not a problem. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm actually just going to show you how to do a general global luxury listing presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. And the blessing that we have is that we had this before Coldwell Banker did. So we've got some extra good nuggets. But when Coldwell Banker came out with going with Moxi as well, we got a whole slew of extra content, meaning that there are pre-made luxury presentations for you. So hopefully that's ringing some bells in your ears, knowing that there's something pre-made that you can just jump in and then customize a little bit if you wanted to and just roll with it. So that's what I'm going to show you. Can you guys see my screen? Yes, okay. So obviously step one, since she said take it back to the basics, you're going to log into Moxi. In the top navigation panel, you're going to click present, which is your listing presentation tool, your buyer presentation tool. It's a buyer tour, and it can also be a personal listing presentation. If I pause for a second here and there, please don't mind me. I'm still letting people into the Zoom meeting. So the first thing that you can see here, I have a library of presentations. If you haven't created any presentations yet, you will not see them here. But when you do create them, you can save them so that they're here. One really cool trick that I'm going to tell you before I create the presentation is you can create one global luxury listing presentation. You can save it so that it shows up right here on your front area where all of your presentations show, your library. After that point, even though there is data and there, if it has MLS connected to it, it doesn't matter. What I do every time I create a presentation is right here, right next to the presentation, there are 3 dots. Instead of creating a new presentation from scratch every time, I use the exact same presentation and I duplicate it and I just change the address. So that means if I set one presentation up, I don't even have to do it again because I'm just going to keep using the same presentation and swapping out info. And I do that by clicking on these dots. Very quickly here, guys, see where my cursor is? See duplicate, everyone watch my screen. Here is a pre-made presentation. You're going to have this once you create one presentation. You're going to click on these 3 dots. When I click duplicate, it will actually open up my pre-made presentation. I can swap out the MLS number if this is for a particular property. It will automatically change all of the information and it will change the photos as well. I do nothing. I can have another presentation in literally a minute. So it makes it very easy for you guys to keep replicating and not start from scratch every single time. I want you to be working efficiently. Use that time to curate new leads instead of wasting time putting together your product. So let's take a look here at the upper right-hand corner. We're going to click Create New. So at this point, you've done nothing more than clicked on Moxi to sign in, clicked on Present in the top panel, and then clicked Create New. Here's where you're going to choose the type of presentation. Each one of these has a pre-built presentation in it. We're going to go ahead and do a selling presentation so that it's a listing presentation. This is going to be a combo. You can provide this to a potential lead or a seller to showcase to them how you could market their property. You could also utilize this example to help somebody renegotiate a price. If it's been on the market for a little bit and you need to renegotiate price, you can use the same presentation type to see where they stand today, what true comparative market analysis is working for your property today. So it goes for both things. On a typical presentation, when it's not luxury, my recommendation is to use these brokerage templates. These are Coldwell Banker Schmidt family of company. But for luxury, I want you to see an extra step over here. Now that we've merged with Coldwell Banker, the brand, we have this extra option that says Coldwell Banker. Watch what happens when I click it. I now have sample presentations for sellers and buyers, which typically you wouldn't use because you would want to use our brokerage templates. But here's what you do want to use if you're luxury. See how we have a global luxury listing presentation template? That means it's ready to go and you're just going to customize it a little bit. So we're going to choose that one today. So we chose Coldwell Banker and then we chose Global Luxury. We're just going to select the little icon next to it, the circle, and then we're going to choose continue. So pretty easy so far. Now, when it says prepared for, that is the name of the person or the address to whom it's going. They're going to see that. So make sure you put the appropriate information. So in this simulation, I will say, actually, I'm going to make this one for Maxwell Sheffield. He's a lot of money. Okay, here we go. That's it. So you're just titling the name to whom it's going to. Or if this is just a general presentation, you can say luxury presentation. Now we're going to click create. So pretty easy so far, guys? Yes, good. Okay. So it's going to take a second. You're going to think here that it's not doing anything and you're going to want to create new again and click the button again, but don't. It's working. It just takes a minute to load all the pages depending on your computer. See that little circle there? There we go. So here's the thing. Take your eyes to the top of my screen. 5 easy steps to creating a presentation are right here. It literally walks you through each step. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The glory of Moxi is when you're in these presentations, you can't get lost. No matter what you do, there's only 5 places to go, and you can navigate to and from each location very quickly. So here is the beauty as well. So we're doing for this simulation, it's going to be a listing presentation that I'm doing for a potential luxury end seller. What's great is this can actually pull in data from the MLS. So what that means is when I'm conversating with my potential seller, instead of gathering all the information from them verbally and typing it in here, which I can do, if it's been on the market now or any time within the last 6, 7 years, I can pull that old MLS number, even if it's not active today, I can type it in here and it will actually auto-populate all of the information and pull it in from the MLS. So let me go ahead and do that right now. I'm going to go ahead and find a luxury listing and plug that information in. So I'm going to go ahead and just grab it really quickly from here since I know it's probably in here real fast. All right, here we go. Okay, so 424. So here's the MLS number. Now, again, the good thing with Moxi is what if it hasn't been on the market and you don't have something to pull from? You're looking at my Moxi present screen. You would just type that information in right here and it would still auto-populate it and save it. So you still have the ability to manually enter their information. But the good thing is if it's been on the market anytime within the last 5, 6, 7, 8, up to 9 years, you can just put the MLS number in there, hit copy, and it's instantaneously going to pull all of the data. Notice how it pulled my graphics. So it's ready to go. Believe it or not, this is ready to go. And all I need to do is plug a couple comps in here. Now, keep in mind, if this isn't a selling presentation, it's a personal listing presentation, this extra step is not going to be here, but everything else is exactly the same. So if I'm showing this to you now, you're going to understand how to do a buying presentation and a buyer tour presentation because it's exactly the same steps and everything's the same. So that's very nice. So as you can see, my data has been pulled in. You can see my graphics are pulled in. At this point, I literally do nothing else on this screen except I go down and I hit continue. In the event something has changed from the last time it was on the market, you absolutely can go and change some of that data. That way you can reflect it to be what would be current today for that individual lead. Now, because it's intuitive and it's connected to the MLS Live, it's actually already pulled comps for you, like properties of similar pricing. So you've just cut yourself out a lot of that time of digging through the MLS and trying to find the properties. But you still have full control because you don't want some properties sometimes to show. Sometimes you do. So here is how you actually select the presentation to show for your client. You're literally just going to come over here next to the presentation itself. Let me get this a little bit bigger so you guys can see. Can you see that a little bit better? Okay. When I hover over the property, notice how on my property there's a plus sign. When I click on that, it says I now have one property in my presentation. If I wanted to include Kelsey Lane, which is active, I'm going to click on the plus sign. So it's as easy as whatever I want included to show as a comp for that area, I'm going to click the plus sign. Now I am going to recommend that you guys choose some that are active, some that are pending, and some that are sold. It's very important when considering the price point of a market today, so they can have so that you can have a correct and accurate pricing. And because I'm going to show you this emotionally here in a second and physically, you're going to be able to help the consumer connect physically, emotionally, and data with analytics. So you're going to get each mindset for your potential seller, right? So I'm going to show you what that means. For now, I've got these selected. If I'm actually going to be doing this for a real person, I'm not going to just jump in and select anything. Keep in mind there's a details button right over here to the right on each property. That means you do your due diligence, click on details. You can actually look at the property to see if it's an accurate one that you want to include prior to including it. So just because it's pulling it for you doesn't mean you don't have the ability to still jump in. You see the photos, you see any videos that might be attached, and all of the content and remarks. So you're very easily able to control that. So clearly, you wouldn't make a whole presentation in just 2 minutes because your time would be spent looking at your comps, because that's what you would be doing anyway if it was the MLS.
Liz, can I interrupt you for 1 second? I have a question. Maybe you're going to cover this. What if you want to add a comp that's not on this list?
Yep, that was exactly next. We see that, we think alike, Marcy. So that's a great thing, because here's what happens. You're talking to somebody and there's a comp that's not on this list, and they say, well, my neighbor, here's your conversation, my neighbor just sold their property for $700,000. So I want to see if I want to put my property for that amount. You're going to say, well, in your mind, you know, it's not worth that. It might be worth more, the price point we've got here, $589. So what we're going to do is appease them. Clearly, if it doesn't show up as a comp, it's because the system knows it's not accurately that close. So here's what you do. We go ahead and say, okay, Mr. and Mr. Seller, we're going to go ahead and click on the MLS number. You're going to do exactly what you did in the first place. You're going to get the MLS number for that property. You're going to type it in right here, and it immediately enters it into the options. So you're including it. The beauty of this is you can do this even on the fly. Marcy can meet somebody in the grocery store. She can overhear a conversation about luxury property. That person's in a pinch. Literally, she can create this presentation on the fly, even from her phone, utilizing Moxi or her iPad or her computer. And on the fly, she can create this for the client. She can add in the MLS number immediately in the conversation. So as you're even conversating, if you're making this while you're talking to them, which has happened before, you can very easily plug that MLS number in as you go. You're catering to the need of that person or adding that person in. The other thing you can do, if you notice over here to the right, we have this map. Let me scroll back out a little bit. So here's what we get. I'm going to go ahead and clear out of here. So it's obviously given us comps for that particular area, but if you wanted to control it a little bit more, we have this ability to either choose by radius. So if I clicked on radius, I would be able to say, I want so many miles within this area. If I chose the draw option, it means if I did quick draw, I could actually draw around the space that I wanted to include in here, and notice how everything disappears because it wasn't the area of my property. So that was just to show you how you can manipulate by zones in a computer. I'm going to clear that. I'm going to hit exit. It's going to reset. Now, the other...
I have one more question.
Sure.
This is all MLS based. What about a sale that is in the auditor site and it's not an MLS?
If it is not in the MLS, it's not going to pull it in here. If it's a property that you're doing a listing presentation for, you'll want to grab that information and type it in.
Okay, so you can add it.
Yep, you can add it, and that would be in the first step here, subject property. You're just typing it in. So the other cool thing here is draw feature, multi-draw. How many times have you, especially when you're dealing with a high-end client, says, I want to be on the north end of town or I want to be on the west end of town, but I don't want to be on the east. And so it's not necessarily zip code related, it's north and south. Here's what you can do when you choose this draw function and choose multi-draw. You could actually draw your circle in the north end of town, and then you can do another one in the second end of town. So right now it's just grabbing my cursor here, but that's all that it is. So it lets you do one circle and then you can do the second circle. I'm going to go ahead and clear it out since I don't want to do that right now, but it just lets you have control as much as you want to what is appearing and showing for you as far as your presentation comes. So at this point, all you've done is you've just selected the ones you want to include. Again, we're going to go straight to the next step. We're almost done. We're going to click continue. And here is just the order. There's no extra work here. This is just asking you, if you don't want the properties to showcase from high to low, you can change it. That's it. Nice and easy. You're going to go to the next page. We've built our presentation already, guys. We're done. So it's just a matter of adding custom pages if we wanted to. I'll show you that in just a second. But here it's going to take you right to the next step, which is just the accumulated estimated pricing based off the MLS and based off whatever data you've entered or changed. But again, each one of these pages, even if it's pulling that MLS data in, you have the ability to change it. So you can actually put in here a different price if you feel like it should be better zoned, maybe a little higher or a little lower. But here's my recommendation. In this remarks section, if you say, you know, we could accurately price you probably right now at $549.9. However, if you updated your flooring, if you added a new great granite in your counters, then I think we could probably price you a little bit higher at such and such dollar. So this is where you would actually want to enter that information in, because you're gauging what it is today versus what it could be if you made the updates needed for the market. So that's a great location to put that right there in the remarks. We're going to go ahead and hit continue. And voila, the presentation is created. It's made. Take your eyes to the left-hand side. Sorry for that. Notice how all of these pages are already here. It's the Coldwell Banker brand one adds in their entire presentation. So here's what we're going to do. You may want this presentation as it is, but you may want to streamline it and take some of that out. Maybe you want to add in your own personal pages. So even though it's fully ready to go, you actually still have the ability to edit and change it to your desire, because maybe somebody doesn't need some of these specific flyers. So here's the glory of this. Each one of these right here is in order. But if I feel like for some reason if I have a flow and a conversation that I like to go from, and I'm just used to how I conversate in my conversations with my sellers, I'm actually able to click on it and I'm able to move it wherever I want in my presentation to work with my flow. So that's a benefit to you guys. In the event I do not want one of these, it's very simple. I'll just click on it. Notice how when I click on it, it changes the slides here. So this is actually the global luxury listing presentation. You can see pristine pictures. It's very clean. It's crisp. There is not a lot of heavy text. It's very simple. So this is already built in for you. But if I didn't want, let's say, this page, or I wanted to maybe not use the Coldwell Banker page, and I wanted to use this page to put the Schmidt family of company version with our numbers, I could just click on this X right here. See where it says remove? And I can remove that slide altogether, and voila, it's gone. If you do that on accident, don't worry, because we can get it back. I'm going to show you where those pages are loaded. So you have the ability to keep what they have. You can remove it completely, or some of them on our end that you guys will see, if there is an edit button next to it, you're able to edit it. These, since it's a pre-made custom one from Coldwell Banker, you're not going to see a lot to edit, but I'm going to show you the library where all of these are housed. and where you can add additional pieces if you wish. And the reason I'm saying that, let's say you're taking the time to do one presentation. Make this your one presentation you constantly duplicate, so it's totally okay to spend 10 minutes looking at each piece to see what you want. And then you're going to get rid of what you don't want from the brand and replace it quickly with the ones that we've already taken and put our Schmidt family of companies numbers on them, because that's important. We want to tell our local story and not just the global brand story. So here's how you do it. So I'm actually showing you here that these are all of the pages already preloaded inside your presentation. In just 1 second, I'm going to click on the view button up here and we're going to look at the actual live presentation. Okay, this isn't the presentation itself. This is just the view for us, showing us what's in it. The presentation is actually viewed by clicking on view, and then we see the digital presentation. Before I get to that, I want to show you one area. Let's take a look at the top of our pages. There is one option here that says add page. To add in custom library pages or create your own pages, you're going to click add page. There are two options. Add from library is all of the content that Coldwell Banker has loaded, so these pages. It is our blue book pages, so our blue listing presentation, and our black book. It is all in our library. So you're going to choose add from library. But what I love too, and we won't go over this so much today, if you did create new, it lets you make your own presentation page, which you can include video, text, photo, and much more. So imagine you are doing a high-end client and you've got this really wonderfully poised video introduction of yourself, or maybe it's your vendor, your power team, or maybe it's a property that you've had this amazing drone video created and you want to show as an example of what you can do for that person. You can do create new, do a custom page, and put that video right in there. So you're talking about taking your presentation to the next level. Your client is expecting the next level, so that's how we can do it for them. This is a whole different ball game than pieces of paper that people are printing out on ink paper. This is a whole different experience. Your luxury client wants the experience. So when you're doing that option, you're taking it and taking it to the next level to provide that. For now, we're going to do add from library, and I'm going to show you how easily and very, very quickly you can add additional pages, and then you can still remove pages you don't want. So ultimately, it's done, ready to go, but you can just plug and play, pull out what you don't want, add in what you do. Okay, so let me break this down very clearly. On the left-hand side in this black navigation panel is our library. Okay, so these are the books we have in the library. The report pages are the pages that you already have inside of your presentation. So again, if you want to remove them very quickly, you can just hit remove. The next section here is CBX pages. The brand has an amazing data tool where they collect all what they call big data, and they help locate a potential buyer for your potential property. It's a game changer. The good news is that when you do that generalized Coldwell Banker luxury program presentation, the one we selected, it's already built in. You actually don't even need to add these here because they already built it in. If you're doing a residential listing program presentation, you have to add them in. So for you guys, you're set. Your report pages are already ready. Your CBX pages are already in there. They're ready to go. Notice how it says remove? That means it's already in there. And I'll show you what those look like in a minute. Now here comes my pages. These are the custom pages that you've created prior. Let me see in here. I'm not going to show you those yet. But the next step is what we're referring to. The brokerage pages, guys, please take note of this. Brokerage pages are our brokerage. These are Schmidt family of company pages. Our black book is right here. Our blue book, Schmidt at a glance. That is all of our analytics on one sheet of paper. Management that's on the call, we have joined the blue. That's for recruiting. So that gets into the recruiting end of using presentations. But I'm going to click on our black book pages. Guys, we've literally, and when I say the marketing team, they've taken the brand Coldwell Banker luxury book and they've just redone the pages to have our stats, our numbers. So if you look, these are the actual pages of cbblackbook.com. I'm going to get a different one in here because you're going to want to use some of these things in here. These have, for instance, our Schmidt family of companies, our story, our core values. We've got in here power in the numbers. So let's take a quick peek at that. Notice how I click on it and it pulls that graphic. So you can just do it that way and very easily see what the graphic is. And my computer is lagging just a minute, so bear with me here, but it shows you that graphic. So it lets you see it in advance. So you can either click on it here to see if you want to include that into your presentation, or if you want to make it even quicker for you, I just say go to cbblackbook.com and look at the pages there.
Decide which ones you want.
Whoop. My fingers are going faster. Whoop, sorry guys. Hold on. Black book. There we go. And then what I'm able to do is I'm able to start from the cover and then jump through page by page. So I can see it visually if you wanted to do it this way, and then say, okay, I love this page. I want that brand power page. See how it says our story? So the pages actually correspond with how they are in here in the presentation. But some of these are really important too, right? We don't want all of just Coldwell Banker's story. See how we've got Coldwell Banker in here? But when we get in here, we start getting into some Schmidt family of companies content that you'll want to include in here. So these are how you can just very quickly look through the pages. But because we have this available to you, all of these great pages are right here. Go back into my presentation. Okay, brokerage pages. So again, all we did was we clicked on the library. We said add new, brokerage pages. If I decided that I wanted this image or this particular page, I'm going to choose add. So I'm going to add my pages based off which ones I want. And if I add it by accident, I'm going to click on remove. So very easily, I can put in what I want. I can remove what I don't want. So it makes it simple for me. Okay, so if you want to go through this, so I'm just saying it's like a one and done thing. You create the presentation and then you actually can duplicate it later. So you don't have to ever really go through here more than once. Let's make it simple. So that's it. So that's how you add in the graphics you want. And then the Coldwell Banker tab here is what we already have looked at. So this is their seller presentation. That's going to be residential and a vertical platform, a horizontal layout for seller presentation. It's the brand's buyer presentation. But the only thing that we have available for luxury right now is in the Coldwell Banker status, their particular luxury presentation. So you already have all of these pages. So you don't even need to go into this and add more. So for you guys, it's going to be more of choosing that pre-made global luxury presentation template we did in the beginning that's had everything in it. And then you're just going to come in here and choose which Schmidt family of company pages you want instead of the brand pages. So that's all that we're doing there. Does anybody have any questions real quick before I show you the presentation itself?
I do.
Yes, go ahead.
Where can you add your own personal page, like your own resume? Where do you add that? How do you add that?
Yep, okay. So where you see I am right now is I'm in the library. Mm-hmm. I can do one of two things. I can come up here and I can click pages, which takes me back to my main library page, or I can click here and go back to my presentation, okay? So this option here takes me to my presentation, or if I clicked on pages, it also takes me back here, okay? So this is the initial list of pages I have. If I want my own resume, I'm going to choose the add page and we're doing create new. Mm-hmm. This is all custom pages. So you're either building your own page, adding video and text, okay, or you're uploading a PDF that you've created or the marketing team has created for you. So you're not stopping using what you're already got created for you. You're just adding it in. And it's very, very, very simple. You're just literally going to click on add PDF, find it in your computer, and then you're done.
Elizabeth, when, you know, I'm looking at the beautiful quality of this presentation, and if you add something else, it doesn't have the same font. It doesn't have the same look. Wouldn't it be better to do a build a page then it's a similar font, it's a similar look, and you just type in your own resume details on that page? Would that be better?
It depends. If the marketing team created it for you, have them get the global luxury font and then just make your document for you in that font. That's the easiest thing, right? But yes, what she's saying, you could build your page. I'll just show you real quick.
Right.
And then you just choose the layout. And then it lets you add text where you can choose your font. So I could add text here. It's pretty simple, to be honest. I'm adding my text and it gives you the little text box right with it. So you don't even have to look for it. But ultimately, the options for editing font aren't as big or as vast as if you had the marketing team do it. But this lets you adjust size. You can bold it. You can center it, make it easy. And watch how easy it is to add a video, you guys. So I'm literally clicking on video. And then all I'm doing is putting in the URL for my YouTube video. So it just has to be housed in YouTube or Vimeo. Those are the two most common. And if you're not familiar with how to do YouTube or how to get a video there, I have a whole class I recorded that I did live teaching you how to use your YouTube channel and get your video even from your phone to your YouTube channel. Make it easy for you guys. So that's it. I don't know what this is, but I'm going to grab it. Let's see what it is. It was a video of some kind. Oh, look at that. It's a Coldwell Banker video. See? And it just immediately put it in my presentation. If I wanted to choose an image, I'm going to click on image, and then I can actually upload the image from my computer. So something I have the rights to, and you guys would get that either from the marketing department or on schmidtresources.com. We have that brand, the graphics page. You can get your photos from there. But if I just selected on the image that I have here, I'm immediately, like it took me no time at all to add a picture, a video, and text. So adding custom pages is super simple. And if I want more down here, I just click on the plus sign. And then it asks me how many columns do I want. See how it changes? Pretty simple, right? If I wanted 4 individual pictures, then what I would do is I would actually click on this right here, and I would tell I want 4 columns. So then I would be able to do 4 pictures, 4 pieces of text, 4 videos. The layout's pretty simple to do, and you really don't have to know anything more than I've shown you. And you can make some really incredible, incredible pages. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to save this just so we can add it to the presentation so you can see it. But ultimately, I've got people that are doing, again, drone videos. Great opportunity. You've got personal presentation of yourself, your own video, welcoming them, telling them something about yourself. Or what if it's, you know, you've got a global luxury client maybe coming into the area and you've got this stellar, amazing video in Cleveland that's stunning. And you just want to showcase that from YouTube. You can do that as well. So the opportunities are endless. But as she was mentioning, yes, it's very simple to go ahead and add in a page. And then you would do create new. And then you would do upload PDF to add an already created PDF and put it right in there for you. So that's how you add in pages, or you build your own page, or add from library is the custom content that the brand or Schmidt family of companies already created. So now we've got, let's pretend like this is all good to go and we won all these pages. But I do recommend that you probably strip it down a bit. I feel like this is a little hefty, it's pretty long. So I would recommend you probably pull some of those pages out. But let's take a quick look at our presentation. At the top here are our options. View lets you see it in digital web view or in PDF. Clicking send lets you type in your client's or person's email address to send it to them. And you can send it to them in a digital format or a PDF. We are not asking your client to change. We are meeting them where they need us. If they don't have the ability or hate digital, we're giving it to them in a PDF and it's going to act the same and still see it. So notice here how it says send a copy to myself. The cool thing is when you do this, you get to see what they receive. And it's very easy. They receive an email that literally says click presentation to view. They click it and it takes them in. Makes it so easy. Now more, I'm going to show you guys this real quick because I know I'm over time here. But if I were to come over to the side, you guys have busy lives and sometimes we need to depend on each other. So if I was actually in here and I said add a co-presenter, I am on the fly allowed to say, you know what, I'm sorry, I got to take such and such in to get a vaccine today. Can you please meet with this client or have this conversation, showcase, or have this listing presentation with them? I'm able to jump in here. I'm able to type in the name of the person. It's going to look for it in the system, and I'm going to click add. Instantaneously, Marcy is now added on here as a co-presenter, and her and I don't have to be in a team agreement. That's the beauty. So we're able to, on the fly, work together collaboratively. Now let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to click view. Web. And I apologize, this is over the 20 minutes, but to show you guys this in a way that actually is going to let you use it with the correct amount of perks and make it efficient for you, it just makes more sense to show it to you now. Okay, so I'm going to come in here. Notice how Miss Marcy and I are beautifully on the front page. At the bottom, please take your eyes to the bottom right-hand corner. Notice my navigation options. Can you guys see that okay? This little box here? Yes? Okay. So I can either click down arrow taking me to the next step here, to the next page, or here's the beauty. Our conversations flow and they go back and forth. Like when I was talking and then Marcy asked the question and I went back to address that. If I click on these 3 lines right here, it actually gives me all of the pages in my presentation. I can jump to page 6, takes me to page 6. And she could say, oh my gosh, you know what, I have a question and it was back on page 1. I'm very easily going to flow back and I'm going to come back to the page she referred to. And without a heartbeat thought, I'm going to be able to jump right back to that page. So see how that very quickly navigates you back and forth to where you want. It's just great flow for you. Again, they expect excellence. So this is how we want to provide it to them. Seamless and easy. So let's run through here very, very quickly. First, it has the property right on the front. We're going to scroll down. And then as you guys can see here at the presentation, the videos play correctly.
In real estate, exposure is everything.
And you can create this page as you need it. That was that custom page that we made in there. Now here's where we get into the actual luxury program presentation. Now the brand has quite a few pages. So again, if you don't want these pages and there's too much and you only want certain pages, just go in and strip them out and take out what you don't want. I'm going to very quickly fly through here because you guys have already seen this. This is nothing new. You've seen the Black Book. You've seen the Global Luxury book as well for the brand. So I'm just going to scroll through here very quickly. It takes you into marketing, the approach. And the cool thing with presentations through Moxi is you can even be nervous and on edge and the conversation flows because of what the pages dictate. So your page dictates your conversation. It brings up your conversation to have. So it allows you to do that very quickly and easily. So you're getting the physical data. We're going to get into the analytics here. Okay. Why is it working with us make the most sense? We have brand graphics that talk about 95% of buyers being online to find their property. See how all of these keywords are making sense to people. Wall Street Journal, they want to see all this. But when we put in here the brand content that showcases that we're #1 online and we give them that analytic, I'm just going to keep going because the brand has a lot of graphics. Here we go. If we give them those graphics that say 95% of buyers are online, and then we give them the next graphic from our sheets that say, we're the #1 online most visited, it's that no-brainer. Why wouldn't you want to work with me as an agent? We're going to give you the most exposure. So here's where it actually starts getting into the property. So it's just a generalized property page, very simple. Now here's where we get into what makes Moxi present different. You can give somebody comps all day long in the MLS, but it's not interactive. It's not intuitive. Here's what I'm doing. I'm connecting physically on a map with where that property is located. You might think you love this house, this house, this house, and this house is comparable, but boy, is it really far away. And it's going to help you realize maybe that's not quite the comp I thought it was. Especially if your neighbor that sold their house or your best friend is way over here, you can see that the area might not sell exactly the same as yours. So it's just mapping it out. It is interactive. everything I touch on, notice how when I touch on it, it tells me which one it is, okay? And also, if I was going to jump in here, I can click on anything on any single page in any presentation page, and it's clicking to that property. So I still have the ability to look at the house. So as a selling presentation on a pricing point, I'm thinking, okay, this is a comparable and this is comparable, but let me look at the photos. When I start to see that my floors aren't as nice, and I start to see that their house is way more done than mine, then I start to realize I might not be able to price mine the same. So emotionally, you're disconnecting from the financial end a little bit more than if it's just the realtor saying, here's where I think we should price it. You're allowing the customer to physically see for themselves their competition. It's a game changer. And then on a listing presentation, so if you're saying this is what I could provide to you, you're showing them that you have the most high-end ability to understand the market to sell today. So let's take a look. This is just a listing overview to see everything in the status that it is. And then my favorite page, here's your analytical mind. We've got side-by-side comps. So if I'm saying I want my house to be priced so-and-so, and I'm looking, I'm like, oh gosh, well, they have 1,000 more square foot than me. Or here's their, the days on the market, like this one here, it breaks it down for you so you can really understand the market. And again, everything is interactive. It's been a game changer so far. Here we have status comparisons, your listing averages. Notice everything again, interactive. So everybody can work through here very quickly. Your conversation can help flow a little bit quicker. Price and days on the market. Don't you guys see how different it is when a consumer can see this instead of you just telling them? It makes it much different for them to physically see it and then understand the market today. It's just solidifying why you need to be the realtor that is handling their transaction. Here is price and size. And then estimate comparison. So they know Zillow. I like that it's in here because they're going to go there anyway. Here we're saying, guess what? Here's where Zillow was overpriced. So here's where our data is showing you the correct pricing. So you're not having to state Zillow is not the place to go, or it's terrible, or down negative speaking to anybody, but it lets you help them understand that Zillow is not as accurate as you want. Now, this is pretty close this time, but this is often $10,000, even $20,000 over. Their pricing is over. So it helps the client, for example, my father, whose estimate was 20,000 over what I told him it's really going to be. Helps him understand. Now here is the price point. That was that suggested price. If I would have put those comments in here, it would have shown right here. $549.9 sold as is. If you update the flooring and add in that granite, you could probably sell for $620, something like that. Next page. Let's go in here. Now it's pulling in my information. And the glory is it's automatically pulling in Marcy's. I didn't have to do anything. So it helps me collaborate. And then this is the great added feature, buyer profile. This is the most likely to buy buyer for that property. And if you look in here, it's color coded. So in here, all those in black are my highest match. That means based off data, based off analytics, and based off activity, these are the people most likely to be the buyer for my property or that property. 91% profile buyer match. Over here, this is often the three that show: Google, Amazon, Facebook. So where do you want to spend your dollars marketing for that property in this area? On Facebook. Make sense? Helps you use your dollar correctly. But if a consumer says, wow, you could probably find my buyer, that's going to make you be more of the one to pick as well. So that's your buyer profile selector tool. Very cool. And then it just finishes off the presentation. So that is the presentation itself. You get to come in and clear it out and minimize it as much as you want, or you can add to it. And again, you can have custom stuff as well. But ultimately, that is how you create the presentation. You literally just click present, and then these 5 steps, and then you're done. So Marcy, I know we've gone way over in time, but I'm hoping that was because it was a little bit more comprehensive, and I did it slower so that you guys can see each step one at a time.
Liz, this was excellent, and your pace, I think, was just perfect.
Perfect.
I feel a great command of this. And I have one more question, for example. If I wanted to take out that Zillow page,
Uh-huh.
am I able to take out that Zillow
Yep.
page?
Everything is, you have the ability to remove every single thing down here
Good.
when you're in here by clicking on the arrow in here. So let me get in here. See how I got that X right here?
Mhm.
Estimate comparison. I
Mhm.
hit the X and it's now gone.
Okay, great.
Nice and easy.
Okay. I love it. Anybody have any questions of Liz?
Yes,
got a
I
couple.
do. It's Tracy.
Go ahead.
So I would like to send this to a house that just expired.
Mm-hmm.
And I've never been in the house, and there's going to be a ton of other agents, I'm sure, pouncing on it. So my pricing is going to be based on not viewing the home. So I would definitely make reference to that. But do you have any other suggestions?
Well, the great news is because it's just expired, it was just on the market. So all of your data is in there. When you,
Right.
when you do that MLS, it's going to give you all the data. So even though you didn't just walk right through it, you still have somewhat current information because it was just on the market. So I would just say trust your data as much as you can. If you've never had a conversation with them before, then you're just, I mean, it makes it a little bit more difficult because you don't know if they made any changes to it. But again, neither are any of the other people probably presenting to them. So your focus here is that this is intuitive. It's on the market to today. So here's your property information and data and numbers and analytics based off when it was on the market. And if they've made any additional changes, you can change those on the fly and it can be accurately reflected immediately. Whereas their presentation probably isn't interactive like that. And they would have to go back and do a full new comprehensive review.
Okay. Okay. Thanks. This was great. Thank you.
Good.
Tracy, how much is the house?
This is just a smaller one, like about 300,000.
Okay.
Yeah, but I thought this was a good experiment.
Yes. I recommend all of you make a presentation and send it
Absolutely.
to your friend or your family or somebody. And that way you run through the presentation with them and you get a good feel of doing it first. Was there another question? Was it Brian?
Yeah, I had a couple.
Okay.
Do we have any data on agents that are currently using Moxi for the listing presentation for what slides they are using?
Not what
comprehensively?
slide- Go ahead. Sorry.
No, just trying to dwindle it down from 40 slides down to even 25, because I think you want to be able to keep people's attention spans, and that's
Yeah, exactly. So there is no data on which slides are being used. We have a lot of data showing that present is being used heavily. People are converting leads. We've got a lot of users. Miss Leilani is one of the best users. If she happened to be on this call right now. Okay, no. So basically, no, there's nothing that says which slides. But to be fully honest, if I'm going through here and you just put yourself in their mindset, what would you want to see? The brand itself is very heavily on creating pretty pictures. It's my opinion. I don't need all these pretty pictures.
correct. And I don't like a whole lot of fluff.
Yeah.
I like data.
Come in here and you can very quickly click on it if you're like, okay, that's graphic, that's good. But like this next one, I probably don't need because it's just a physical photo. I would just exit out right there. So go through it that way and then just strip out the excess that doesn't really actually give you any additional something that makes them want to list with you. Theirs is
Fair
very
enough.
heavy. On the listing side, just so you guys know, the residential side, our presentation pages are like 12 pages. It's just the brand beefs it up to make it super pretty.
No, is there a way to, like, I use CBX quite a bit, or I did, and I'm trying to switch everything over to this now.
Mhm.
For the comps, is there a way to be able to send just those? Let's say after your listing presentation, you want to leave the comps behind with them. Is there a way to just send those slides to them and still have them be interactive?
Anything that's in present is going to be interactive. So for example, if you wanted them to only have a presentation with just those slides, you would have to make a presentation with just
Got
those
it.
slides.
Okay.
But yeah, I understand what you're saying. Because the thing is when you clean this out and it's not so heavy and you only have 10 pages, it's totally okay leaving those pages in and just telling them to jump to the bottom. One thing I have to say is I just sent this, I did a whole review for my father and he is amazing and he was literally led a whole bunch of companies and radio stations and he was a huge name. But you tell him to do a new technology today and he's like, okay. He was like, I don't know about new technology. I sent him the presentation and I said, what you're going to do is click on it. And then you're going to click the down arrow and go back and forth. When you're working through this presentation, you're going to be able to very easily click on it. And I'm telling you, my review from him was it was the easiest thing he's ever gotten, that he actually didn't have to learn first. So it's very easy for them to receive it. So if your presentation isn't heavy like this, and you take these pages out that you don't need, and you have a 12-page presentation, Brian, or 15, it's very easy for you just to send them that one presentation one time, and then to get to those buyer pages very quickly, especially since you know that they can use that navigation tool at the bottom. So there might not really be a need to just have those CBX buyer locator pages by themselves, is what I'm saying.
Thank you very much.
Any questions? More?
I have another question. I'm looking down this list on the library on the left here,
Yep.
and I'm not seeing a page that says marketing proposal. Is there a marketing plan or marketing proposal specifically for their house that's already created, or a template is created for, that you can work off of?
There are marketing slides, like in our Schmidt family of company. It tells what the marketing company is, but it's not a proposal that has like a dollar amount of what you would spend to market the property. Am I understanding you?
No.
Am I understanding correctly? No.
No. When I do a seller proposal, I create a proposal specifically for their house. If I'm going to have a broker's open, if I'm going to, where I'm going to market the home, how I'm going to market the home, to whom I'm going to market the home, and all the things I'm specifically going to do for that house, that I'm going to provide for that seller. So would that be something I'd have to create?
Yeah.
And
So
add?
what we
Okay.
have here is we have the pages that say where it's going to be marketed, but it's that whole overview page. Where did it go? Let me show in here. And the brand pages that are in from Coldwell Banker Schmidt family of companies, or the brand, are not editable. Just know that. So this says where you're going to market, but if you want to be really streamlined and not have just this graphic, you can have, number one, the marketing team create that graphic for you. And number two, you can actually go in and do create the page that I showed you right here, and do it here as well. Add a page, you can create new, and then build a page and add that in. Marcy, is it going to be pretty much the same graphic for every person, or does it involve any numbers?
It's just like this, Elizabeth. It's a template that I have created. It's about 5 to 7 pages. It's a template I've created in Publisher.
Mm-hmm.
And I, obviously change out the address and the names, but the plan is very customized. So if I have 20 points, 10 will be the same. 10 will, 8 to 10 will be more customized. I put dates in there. I put timelines. I put very specific activities. If the property is in Shaker and it's a likely home that'll be selected by someone that works at Cleveland Clinic or University Hospital, I will put information there as how I'm going to infiltrate those companies and garner potential buyers for them.
Correct.
So it's very specific to the house.
So in that
So,
situation, you would want to do either use what you've already created and uploading it. If you've done it in Publisher, you can change it to a PDF, save it as a PDF and upload it here. That would be the quickest thing for you. The marketing team can make you a series of them, where it's like, if you have like five different ways you usually make you 5. The other option is honestly just to do the add page, create new, and then remember, when we're building our page, that information is editable every time. So my text can be changed for every property. So if you wanted to do it right here, you absolutely could. You would just type in your text, and then as you're creating your presentation, remember the Glory, within the present system here, when I create the presentation and it's saved, remember it made me that library that I went into. So let's go in here. So let's pretend, here's Max. This is the one I just made, Maxwell Sheffield. If I'm clicking on these 3 dots and I click duplicate, the glory is I'm actually opening up the exact same finished presentation as soon as it opens. Then what it's going to do is it's going to let me swap out the MLS number, and then I can get to that last page and just change the figures right there on that custom page. So it's,
And if it's a property that's never been listed, hasn't been listed in 25 years,
and
you have to just
Mhm.
manually edit, input all the information,
Yep.
correct?
Exactly. You are correct. Yep. And as far as the pool, I want to say, I think we heard that it goes back 9 years. So if it's been in the MLS within the last 9 years, it should pull their data.
Mhm.
Should be good to go. If you have an issue with something not plugging in, then the
Mhm.
Moxi support team can help push it through to make you get that property info in.
Mhm.
Which is good.
I wanted to address something that Brian said and that Tracy said. This is just my input on this. First of all, Tracy, regarding you're going to be sending a presentation on a house you haven't seen, I would emphasize in this presentation much more about our company and the assets that we have rather than the price. Because if I'm the seller, I might want to know about the market. I would not want you giving me a price opinion without seeing my home. I think it dilutes your credibility.
Absolutely. Yeah, I totally agree with that.
Yeah.
And I feel like when a price does come up, this house has been on the market 3 other times. It's just overpriced.
Mhm.
And so I'm hoping that when I do the presentation, I mean, I don't want to insult, when that price comes up low. So I'm debating on how I want to,
Mhm.
if I want to send that page or not.
Mhm. You might not want to.
Yeah.
Because it's such a polarizing commitment when you send them in writing a number without seeing the house.
Mhm.
It can be very polarizing. It's too iffy to serve your purpose. So you can always talk about it when you get an audience. But the presentation itself, it's so beautiful.
Mm.
You want it to be a series of oohs and ahs rather than them focusing on that number that they didn't agree
Right.
with. Now you've lost the power of the beauty of the presentation. And to answer or respond to something Brian said about which pages, I think there's 2 ways you have to approach this, Brian. One is, have you seen the house? One is, haven't you seen the house? Okay.
Right.
So you're going to present, you're going to have 2, maybe 2 in your library, like they're showing in this page. One is for
Yep.
homes that you've not met the seller, you haven't seen the house. And one is after you've met the seller and after you've seen the house. Because
More of a two-step approach to the listing then.
Yes.
right.
Correct. You would have a generalized listing presentation, and then you could have one that's more specific as a seller presentation for that property once you've seen the property with the house information.
More geared towards the pricing.
Right.
And
That's
again,
my point.
and done. You made
That's
one
my point.
presentation of each, and then you're just editing it with the information for the new buyer each time. Going through that step of creating new and digging through those slides, that would be a pain in the butt every time. So just make one for each. And then just like I said, you just watch
Re-edit.
me do it. I
Yep.
click duplicate and watch how it says copy. It just gives me an additional copy. It just put it down here. So I would just edit that new one and go forward. Yeah. So that way you're catering to the client at the conversation point that they need at that time.
That makes sense. Thank you. And we got one more question here.
Okay.
For when you're pulling comps on here, it only looks like it only goes back 6 months, which is great. Normally it's what we want to do. And it's a lot better than CBX, which when they would pull comps off of that, it seems like they even go back a couple of years. Is there a way to change that time frame from 6 months to maybe a year in case for the higher end homes or more rural?
So what we're able to change on our own is right here. We've got our price points, our bed and bath, and our filters. Let me see if that is in here. I do know they have in the past pulled some for a year, so I don't know if it's just territory specific. Maybe
I see it down. It looks like changed in the last.
Yeah.
see that.
No, here. Scroll down.
Well, this is what's been on the market for at least, it lets me go to 999 days. That looks like the most I can filter out. And then this right
There you
here lets you
Right.
put a custom amount. So I would just play with that, Brian, and see how far it lets you go.
Got it. Okay.
Oh,
Thank you.
that's good. Thanks, Brian. Good question.
I think it's dependent on inventory. If you don't have a lot in an area, it's going to go back automatically further for you to pull more comps. But if you have quite a bit and you can't fit them all in, they're going to be a little bit closer time frame, like 6 months. See that?
Right.
Sold in the
Makes
last
sense.
2
Thank you.
years,
Answer your question.
2 years, 12 years, 6, 3, and 30 days.
For luxury, again, it depends on the price point. This isn't true so much in the 5s and the 6s, but when you start to get up north of maybe 800,000, you absolutely have to go back 12 months
Right.
and sometimes 18.
So you,
Okay, over $1 million, you might have to go over 18 months.
so
It
you, would,
just depends what the inventory shows.
you would say 800,000 to whatever it is, and then you would come into your filters and then choose that price point. So you're telling it what data to give you. Great questions. Anything else? I have a question. What do you guys think?
Beautiful.
Very helpful. Thank you.
Yes.
Do you like it? Are you going to use it? I think that's the key.
Yes.
If you've been
Yeah.
seeing it, are you going to implement it and use it?
I already started playing with it, but now that I got a better understanding of it, it definitely helps and be able to edit it to the way I would like it to look.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
I've used many programs before, and this is just the next step that I think clients are wanting and needing right now, especially in our new environment.
It's beautiful.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
So much.
I don't know how much Elizabeth, you are just great. And I'm so appreciative. Elizabeth, thank you for giving me your link and also your wonderful Moxi expertise. It was fantastic. Wasn't everybody?
It was.
Fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, bye. Talk soon.
Thank
Get
you.
in that call tomorrow for postcard.
Elizabeth.
Okay, bye.
Bye, everyone.
Hi, did you get the